Okay, so today's session is all about Arlo's new e-learning features, and I mentioned before it's really exciting for us because we've been working on, developing these e-learning features for some time now. It's been part of our roadmap for, the last 18 months, and we've been really aggressively developing some of the functionality that you'll see today. You already know some of the functionality, such as the GoToWebinar that we'll talk about. That's been around for quite a while. But the new functionality is going to be really exciting. It's going to allow you to extend the value of your existing courses. Okay, so what we're going to cover today is what's possible. I guess taking this technology and putting it into action. You know, what is it going to do in terms of offer options for your delivery and expanding your value proposition for different delivery methods. What's Moodle? Part of the integration and part of the features that we're going to offer are based on the Moodle platform, the learning management system Moodle. So we'll cover that briefly. We'll talk about what's an online activity. So that's a new feature of Arlo, and we'll go over how that fits with Moodle. In fact, that's the next point, how the integration works between online activities and Moodle. We'll talk about creating e-learning content. I've just got a couple of snippets there. Obviously, that's a very big topic, but I've got a couple of ideas, if you don't already know, that could be helpful. I'll introduce you to LearningWorks, which is one of our partners and has really made this possible. Certainly the integration with Moodle. It's come to you by the development that LearningWorks has done for us. And lastly, we'll go over the costings. Okay, so just a check to make sure we're all good. Barb or Emma, can you just send me a message to make sure it's all coming through nicely? Great, excellent. So what's going to be possible? So first of all, running webinars. Now, like I mentioned, most of you are well aware that we do webinars, that we can deliver webinars on Arlo. But for those who don't, that's a key feature that a lot of our clients are already using. That ability to be able to promote a webinar, a course online, and deliver it like what we're doing right now. In most cases, the delivery of webinars are very interactive. So this is quite one way. It's a large audience, and where it comes to training courses, you know, they're certainly a situation where you've got a small group of, say, 10 people, and it's very interactive. Where you've got a large group of people like this, it becomes a little bit one way. We try and make it interactive. Anyway, that's been around for a while, and it certainly continues to be a solution that provides you about just an alternative to a classroom session. I guess for those CPD providers, people who are delivering continuing professional development, certainly a big growth in webinars, the ability to deliver courses for the legal, for lawyers, for accountants, where otherwise it would be classroom. That ability to do them like what we're doing right now is certainly becoming very popular. Also, we're providing recorded access to recorded versions of the webinar. So after this session, I'll have a recording of this, and I'll be able to make it available. And because it integrates with Arlo, or will integrate with Arlo, you'll be able to not only make it available, but be able to sell it. So you'll be able to make a bit of money out of that as well. So that ability to take your webinars, record them, and then sell them after the fact if a person missed out on seeing them. Probably the biggest one that is going to make a difference is being able to offer self-paced e-learning activities. Now, what I mean by a self-paced e-learning activity is a combination of different activities, but they can all be delivered online and at your own pace. So an example of that would be to watch a video, and after that, maybe it's got an article to read, and then maybe finishes up with a quiz. And it's all packaged up. So you essentially buy the e-learning object, if you like, get sent a link, and from there, the object takes you through those different content pieces. So watching the video, reading the article, and like I said, completing the quiz. It could be a combination of a lot of different things. That's just one example. Coming back to CPD, again, you know, it's gone from sort of face-to-face to delivering it virtually in webinars. And the last little sort of, I guess, development, or more recent development, is delivering the content through self-paced learning activities, so that people can do it at their own leisure, at their own pace. We'll talk about SCORM. In fact, that's actually a good question to ask. Who has heard of SCORM? Just to get a feel for the audience there. So put your hand up if you've heard of SCORM. SCORM objects. No? Okay. Interesting. All right. So that's self-paced e-learning. The next one is just taking a classroom course and adding additional value to it. So, you know, for all you who are delivering classroom courses, whether it's workshops or even just events, with the new functionality, you'll be able to provide access to material as an example, after the course, potentially even before the course. So the person doesn't just have an experience of turning up on the day and then once it's finished it's all over. You can extend that value beyond the actual session itself. And like I said, an example of this is providing access to course material, maybe supporting a discussion forum or a chat forum, potentially creating a wiki where people can contribute. So yeah, at its essence, it's about increasing the value of what would traditionally be just a one-off, you go on one day and you sort of forget about the course thereafter. And again, I'm seeing a lot of our clients already doing this. I can see a lot of the providers that we deal with that are using Arlo are already doing this. What we offer here is just to make it nice and tight and really synchronized. Instead of a lot of administration with other systems, it'll be tightly integrated into the whole solution. Now this can be extended to, I guess, offer what we call blended learning. So if you haven't heard of the term blended learning, it refers to the fact that a course can be made up of lots of different sessions. So for example, it could be, say, an online e-learning self-paced activity that a person completes. They then go into a classroom, and in the classroom they learn, I guess they go over other material, maybe review what they did in their self-paced learning object, potentially do a session like this a week later, and then maybe have discussion forums, and it might be ending up in an assignment or grading. But yeah, the term blended learning refers to the fact that there's lots of different activities that make up the course. Okay, so what's Moodle? Who's heard of Moodle, I guess, is a good question. Put your hands up with a little yellow icon. Who's heard of Moodle? And we'll see. Yep, great. Paul, Sue, Stephanie. A few of you out there, Nikki. Great. Yeah, it's certainly probably one of the most popular. Certainly in New Zealand, and I'd say in Australia, it's the most popular learning platform for delivering e-learning content and supporting online collaboration and course delivery. So it's essentially an e-learning platform, an LMS, I guess is the typical term. And with an LMS, it supports a lot of the activities that I've just been talking about. It supports the ability to run discussions, to have those real-time chats, assignments, quizzes, pretty much exactly what I just went over in the last two slides. So it's through the integration of Arlo and Moodle that we can support that, I guess, extended value of a classroom course. And because Moodle is so well established, it's got some great functionality there. It's got a very big development community. It's open source, so you've got most of the large universities and polytechs are on Moodle. If not now, they will be. And that's in New Zealand and Australia, and certainly global as well. So you've got this big development community who is constantly evolving the Moodle platform. So yeah, we're really excited by being able to integrate with a platform like that and really extend the value of our services without having to do a lot of work. We're just really leveraging our partners. And again, for those of you who know, our strategy is very much about integrating with other systems to extend the value of Arlo instead of trying to build it ourselves. Okay, so that's Moodle. What's an online activity? So an online activity is Arlo's new feature for supporting self-paced e-learning. Essentially, it's exactly the same as an event, but it doesn't have a start and end date. So you create an online activity, or it could be an e-learning activity would be another name for it. We've just decided to give it quite a generic name of online activity. And you create it, you've got a website page. So this one here is an example of Excel Basics 101, and you have descriptions. It's essentially the same format as what you've got with an event, but it's designed to promote an e-learning course or an online activity, as we coin the phrase. Now, because we've tightly integrated it with, I guess, the rest of Arlo, you're actually able to not only promote an online activity on that course page, but you can offer the other delivery methods on that same page. So an example here, you've got the course where you can do it self-paced online, or you can complete it in Sydney, or potentially complete it live online over a webinar like this. So we've really designed the architecture of the whole solution so that it offers this opportunity for you to have one page for a course and promote the different delivery options. And again, you know, if you look at some of our other clients, they're already doing this. They've actually developed their own custom pages, and they promote when you open up a course. It basically gives you the option. You can either run it over or complete it over a live online webinar style session in a classroom, or self-paced online. Okay, so because we promote it online, you can obviously register for it. And because you can register for it, you can take advantage of all of Arlo's functionality when it comes to registering, issuing tax invoices, the refunds, credit notes. I think everyone's well familiar with the fact that we've got a very strong order management system and a system that integrates with your accounting system at the back end. So now you're going to be able to not only offer access to e-learning content, but you're going to be able to sell it. And it's going to link directly in with a standard Arlo order process. Now, if you don't sell it, if you're just wanting to make it available to individuals, then that's fine too. You obviously turn off the order process and you simply make it a nice, simple registration form. But yeah, you've got that ability to sell it and make it available. Now, once a person is paid for it or their registration is approved, just like an event registration, once it's approved, course instructions are sent. Same thing goes with an online activity. So once it's approved, that registration is approved, then they'll receive an email, and in the email there'll be a link, in this case to the Moodle course. So they'll be able to click on that and access the course itself. Okay, so registrants will receive that link, they'll click on the link, they'll go ahead and actually complete the course, and then what's really cool is that result, or the result that's been captured from that course, will then be fed back into Arlo afterwards. So I'll touch on SCORM a little bit later, but there's standards out there that allow us to, I guess, package up an e-learning course and essentially feed back the results. So the results can include things like a score from 0 to 100, progress status, whether the person started it, whether it's in progress, or whether it's been completed, the last time they accessed it, and whether they've completed the actual the whole object. And you can change these. It's quite sophisticated when you get into the details, but essentially you can create a SCORM-based object or learning object using the SCORM standards, and you can configure it, say that a person needs to watch the video, they need to complete the quiz, and if they get so many marks right in the quiz, then they pass, and if they don't, they've got to reattempt the quiz. You can even say that they can only attempt it once. There's lots of different ways you can, once you've packaged up your e-learning, that you can change it so that the results or the grading is reflected on, I guess, your requirements. So as an example, if it's CPD, you could have them watch the video, complete the quiz, and only those people who were able to answer the questions in the quiz would actually be achieved, would receive achievement, i.e. the status of that learning would be completed. You might have another example where you just wanting to make sure you push out a video to everyone to watch, and you just want to make sure that everyone's actually watched it. So your completion status could just be based on the fact that the person's opened it and watched it. Yeah, once we see a live example of it, you'll see how when you jump into Arlo, it's going to be very easy to see a list of people's names and a status of where they're at. You know, have they completed it or not completed it? Okay, the next thing is this actually came up in some of our workshops with our various clients that we work closely with to develop the functionality, and that was the ability to bulk import or bulk register. So as an example, you might be doing a special learning program or a training program for an organisation, a private one, and part of that requires you to send out an e-learning object or a self-paced activity for all the staff, and you don't want them to have to register every staff member. You want to simply be able to import them in bulk. And so I guess most of you would know that's certainly possible with events. You can bulk import from a spreadsheet. So we've really just leveraged that same functionality to allow you to bulk import registrants onto an online activity or an e-learning course. Okay, so how does the integration work? You know, I've talked about the full solution, but how does all the components of it fit together? Here's just a basic flow of it. So where you've got a solution that involves Arlo and Moodle, what will happen is a person will register for that course online. Arlo will then approve the registration, whatever that criteria it might be. They have to pay for it or whatever it might be. But once it's approved, an account in Moodle will be created, if it doesn't already exist, for that individual. And they'll be sent an email to access that e-learning object. I've already gone over this, but just to reiterate the process. So what the integration does is it creates an account in Moodle and then essentially gives them the security rights for that course. Now, behind Moodle is, like we said, a really powerful learning management system. So that login that they get not only gives them access to that course, but it gives them access to any other e-learning courses that you've created for them. So they essentially get their My Learning area. And we're probably going to evolve that concept quite a bit to not only include e-learning courses, but all registrations that they've completed on Arlo. Anyway, that's probably time for another sort of session on that. But yeah, the concept of My Learning is very much part of Moodle, so it's not just about creating an account for that particular course, although that is important, obviously, but it's actually creating an account for that environment, your own Moodle environment. So once the registrants complete the course, the results are sent back to Arlo. And this is the case for an online activity, like we said, where it's just a self-paced, as well as a course, so you can integrate those two. Like we talked about a blended learning experience. What essentially is happening there is a person's going to register for that course in Arlo. They'll receive the instructions, the course or event instructions from Arlo, but at the same time they'll receive an account creation in Moodle and access to that same course, the online component of that, the online environment of that, within Moodle. So the integration works both on online activities, the new feature, and also courses. We certainly plan to integrate with other platforms, and you know, I reiterate, our whole strategy is about integrating with other different services, whether it's Xero, the accounting system, whether it's GoToWebinar, whether it's whether it's Add This for social media, whether it's Campaign Monitor, SurveyMonkey is about to come out. You know, our strength is, as we said, is in the ability to integrate with different systems, and we certainly recognise that Moodle is a very powerful learning management system, but not everyone's going to use it. So when we architected online activities feature, we had that in mind. It wasn't going to always be just Moodle. So in fact, you will be able to use it on other platforms. So when a person registers, the course is created, a registration is approved, and an email is sent with a link to the e-learning object, so a link as in a URL. Now the person will then click on that link and potentially access another object in a different learning platform. Obviously the security isn't taken care of there, and that's the only difference there, and that's why that, I guess, that integration with Moodle at this stage is so much more powerful, because you've got that automation. But that's not to say that we won't be doing the same thing with other platforms as well, so we'll be developing that tight integration with other platforms in time. There's some good ones out there. Okay, in terms of getting the results back from a platform like that, you can obviously import them through a CSV. So, all right, recorded webinars. This is how the recorded webinar scenario works. Same thing, we've already talked about register online for the webinar, or purchase the webinar online through an online activity. It's approved, and you're sent an email, in this case an email with a link to access the video. And the likely thing is that you'll be storing the video or that link through GoToWebinar or GoToMeeting or something like that, WebEx, and they'll be accessing, essentially when they click on that video, they'll be accessing that video off that platform, or potentially it might be a link to a Google a YouTube video. So yeah. So how to create e-learning content? That's a big one. That's obviously a very big topic in its own right. So I just wanted to touch on a couple of key things there. And I've mentioned the term SCORM, and what happened quite a long time ago is that there were a lot of learning management systems out there, like Moodle, and they had their own authoring tools. Now, an authoring tool is a tool that you use to create e-learning objects. So the self-paced e-learning object that we talked about before, the video, the quiz, and so forth. So that's what an authoring tool is, a tool that allows you to create it. And then you had learning management systems that allow you to host the objects, if you like. Now, traditionally, learning management systems were both authoring tools and hosting tools. And Moodle has a little bit of the authoring tools already in it. But what we've seen is the market mature, and some really good authoring tools that are just focused on purely making it easy to create very, I guess, attractive and interactive e-learning have come into the market. Those authoring tools are out there. So the market realized, or the industry realized, we need some standards, so that if an authoring tool creates an e-learning object, it's saved in a specific standard that a learning management system can import and consume. And that standard is SCORM, or the phrase SCORM. There's other standards, but it's the most, I guess, widely widely coined phrase or term used or standard used. There are other ones that are probably going to supersede it, but the point here is that these authoring tools are designed so that you can create the content and then upload it into a platform like Moodle. Some of the authoring tools that are out there that seem to be quite popular. Articulate Storyline, that's very popular. It's probably one of the leading. It is definitely the leading actually one in the marketplace, and it allows you to create a I guess take a PowerPoint if you like, add some questions in the PowerPoint, a little quiz, and then it can have things like an avatar asking questions along the way, and sort of animating what would normally be quite a dry PowerPoint presentation. So that Articulate Storyline allows you to create some quite nice interactive, I guess, experiences with relatively basic informational content. I mean, it can go a lot further than that, but that's one of its initial strengths, is just the ability to take what you'd normally see as a bit of text and give it a bit of life. I mean, that's one of the challenges you've got with e-learning, is that people are playing all these fantastic games online with high definition, and so they expect when they purchase something as like a learning course, they expect it to have that same, I guess, razzle-dazzle. So yeah, Articulate Storyline can give you that little bit of, I guess, interaction. Camtasia is another one. That's what we use to create our screencasts and our videos. So that really does specialise in, I guess, editing videos or screencasts so that they can be produced online and made available. And certainly something that we're going to do a lot more of in the future. We're going to make a lot of short little videos on new features, and we'll be using Camtasia to do that. Adobe Captivate, I don't have a lot of experience with that. So I can't tell you, but it's obviously made by Adobe. It is one of the ones that's out in the marketplace and certainly well known. So I'm sure that it's got some good value and can deliver some really good content as well. The last little quadrant that I didn't cover off, which is content creation experts. You know, while these authoring tools can help you create the content, I think if anyone's tried to embark on actually producing your own content, you'll find it's one thing to it's one thing to be able to know the content and to deliver it in the classroom. It's another thing to be able to actually package it all up and make it nice and succinct. And these authoring tools are helpful, but really my advice, and this is coming from feedback from others, is that you talk to a specialist and you bring in an expert, essentially, in creating the content. Now, that expert's likely to use an authoring tool, by the way. They're likely to use, you know, an authoring tool, or at least package it up into a SCORM object. So yeah, now we've got a couple of ones. Obviously, LearningWorks that I'm talking later on, we'll talk about later on, is one of those providers. We've also got Inspire Group in Wellington. Yeah, there's a lot of them out there, but there's a few that we're keen to sort of promote because we've had feedback from clients that the work they do is really at a high standard and very good quality. So LearningWorks. So LearningWorks are experts in Moodle implementation and custom development. So they specialise in Moodle and also hosting of Moodle services. So Moodle is actually not a SaaS product traditionally. It's installed on a server. So they've got a very big virtual server environment that they're running, and they're hosting some of the polytechs and so forth on it. So they're going to be developing and supporting the service that we're actually going to sell. So it's going to be hosted within their Moodle infrastructure. Like I mentioned, they're learning content creation experts as well in authoring, and so they'll be able to help those people who really want support in actually producing the content. Yeah, like I mentioned, they've created the Moodle, the Arlo Moodle plugin that will be launching very shortly. The two names to see there is Matt Smith. He's the IT service manager. You might have heard from him, or we might have done an introduction. And Kiran Chandra is the BDM there. Some of their examples is Frontiera. So they've built a Moodle instance for Frontiera. And this is, I guess you've seen a few screenshots here, but they're able to customize the whole look and feel of Moodle. That's probably one of the biggest things. You know, Moodle was, I guess it's fair to say, quite clunky in the old days. It wasn't a great experience, and yeah, it's great to see that they've done a lot of work in terms of skinning it and making it a much better experience for users. And that's actually one of the expertise of LearningWorks, is to be able to take Moodle and skin it up, as you can see here. Here's the Welltech site. So the whole of Welltech is running Moodle, which is managed by LearningWorks. and there's Southern Cross as well. So there's some examples, if you just saw, of different, I guess, different skins that have been applied, but some good names as well. What does it cost? So this is the draft pricing, but what we plan to do is launch online activities, the feature itself, onto the Arlo Enterprise plan. So the top plan, that'll be available for anyone who's got Arlo Enterprise. And we'll be selling the Moodle service, we'll call it Moodle, Arlo Moodle service, and that'll be charged at $2 per active user per month. What that means is that if no one's using it, there's no charges. If a person logs in to the platform, say to complete an object or to gain access to material that you've made available, then it's $2 per active user per month. So it's all based on how much usage the platform's getting. If you're doing a lot of usage, people are actually logging in and using the platform, obviously there's a charge, and if you're not, there's no charge. The other thing is if you're pushing out a lot of e-learning objects, say in 1 month you push out 5 different learning objects, and that person logs in once to access those 5 learning objects, then there's only one charge. It's effectively they've only logged in once. The Moodle setup is $3,500. That's essentially because we're deploying a whole platform for Moodle. You're getting your own learning management environment, so there's quite a bit of setup and configuration there. And there's another option to do the enhanced branded theme, as we saw with Fonterra and so forth. We have a special offer, so yeah, we're keen to push this out, and certainly there's a lot of interest out there. So we want to make it good for the first few who take up the solution, and so we're offering 10 hours of free learning and development. What that is 10 hours of someone sitting down with you and helping you produce that content through, like we said, authoring tools, but having an expert there that can take your content and produce it in a I guess, online e-learning consumable format. And we're also offering a discount off the enhanced branded theme. So that's looking like the pricing. Welcome feedback on that, and yeah, if you don't feel like giving feedback in this session, certainly really keen to hear your feedback about all this functionality, and whether it's going to work with you or whether you've got additional questions, more technical questions. Just keen to get as much feedback about what we're doing as we can. We want to know that we're really aligned with your requirements. What's next? So the functionality for online activities and the Moodle integration is available in April, so 2015. And at that point, late April, we'll be running live demos where you actually see it in action, and show you those scenarios that we talked about right at the start. You actually see it in action and how it all works and how it's all set up. In the meantime, like I mentioned, just send us an email if you've got feedback, if you've got inquiries. Some of the clients who are keen to sort of get started right now or really investigate Moodle in a little bit more detail, there's nothing stopping you right now to have a session with LearningWorks. In fact, we'd really encourage it if this is something that you're really wanting to get into. There's nothing stopping you now to actually start exploring it and having those, I guess, sessions to find out how you'd set up Moodle and what you might do with it, and I guess what services are available there to support you. So look, it's now 32 minutes past. I don't see any questions actually come through, so hopefully we've covered a good amount of content there and potentially covered off some of your questions. Put your hand up if put your hand up if you feel that it was a valuable session and we're on the right track. So great, some good feedback there. Thank you for that. That's excellent. Yeah, wonderful. So certainly appreciate that feedback. Okay, like I said, certainly send us an email, sales@arlo.co, and we're keen to sort of take it a step further. We will be running those live demos in late April for those of you who can wait, but those of you who want to sort of get involved more I guess before then drop us an email. Wonderful. Okay, we'll finish it up there. And by the way, this will be made available online, this recording. Okay, thanks everybody. See you later.